So, with The Walking Dead having such a massive cast, it's no surprise that characters tend to pop back up from time to time. But I've got to say, I'm starting to worry that one iconic survivor might be out of the picture for good. Now, we all know this show loves to bring folks back as long as they weren't brutally killed off. Just look at Rick. Even though he was MIA for a while after getting nabbed by the CRM, he finally made his comeback in 2024's The Ones Who Live. When Rick took off in 2018, it really seemed like the end of the road for him in this post apocalyptic world, but his spin off totally flipped the script and left the door wide open for more surprises. That said, I can't shake the feeling that one particular character might not cross paths with the main group again. Sure, season 11 wrapped up the main storyline nicely, giving many of our favorite characters a decent send off. But this one survivor was noticeably absent from the big finale. They were busy with their own storyline in one of the franchise's numerous spin offs, and their exit hinted at a possible reunion with The Walking Dead's central hero. But honestly, the way things are looking in the zombie verse right now, I'm starting to doubt we'll see this pivotal character make a return anytime soon. There's just not much pointing to a cameo happening. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for Morgan to come back, but with the current spin off setup, it's not looking likely. After wrapping up his journey on Fear the Walking Dead, Morgan went off to find Rick. But here's the thing, none of the ongoing spin offs really leave much room for him to pop up. For instance, it doesn't make much sense for Morgan to show up in Daryl Dixon seasons 2 or 3. He wouldn't have any reason to think Rick's hanging out in Europe. And even if he somehow got word that Rick was missing, it's a bit of a stretch to assume he'd guess Rick went overseas, making a Daryl crossover pretty unlikely. Season 2 of Daryl's show is sticking to France, and season 3 is headed to Spain, so it seems like Morgan's not going to be part of that adventure. There were some fan theories floating around that Carol's He Came Back line in Daryl Dixon might have been about Morgan, but Rick's return pretty much squashes that idea, and a cameo in Dead City doesn't really make sense for Morgan either, since he wasn't close with Maggie and never even met Negan. Plus, the timeline for that spin off is set way in the future, which would make his journey to find Rick unnecessarily long and convoluted. I thought for sure that Morgan might show up in The Ones Who Live. It just seemed to make sense. Having him pop up in Rick's spin-off would have been perfect, but unfortunately that didn't happen. The show dropped a few Easter eggs that teased Morgan, but they never actually brought him back, which has me seriously doubting whether he'll return at all. As much as I'd love to see Morgan again, it feels like the franchise isn't giving Lenny James a solid opportunity to reprise the role, and that's got me worried that we might have seen the last of him. Morgan's made more comebacks in The Walking Dead than pretty much anyone else, but he really needs one final reunion with the main crew. His transition to Fear, The Walking Dead, was amazing for his character. He grew so much and left the show as a changed man. But his journey doesn't feel complete yet since he set out to find Rick, and it would be such a waste if the franchise wrapped up before he gets to do that. Not giving Morgan one last moment with the original survivors would be a major letdown, and I really hope they find a way to make it happen. Since Morgan was the first person Rick met after the outbreak, having them reunite would be the perfect way to close out Morgan's story and bring everything full circle. Both of these guys started off as totally different people, but after everything they've been through and all the loss they've faced, they've managed to find new families and some happiness along the way. A reunion would be the perfect ending to their Walking Dead journeys. Morgan didn't always get the best storylines, but he's still one of my all time favorite characters and played such an important role in the franchise's history. He deserves a proper send off whenever the time is right.